There are a range of challenges I faced while writing my first epic fantasy novel. In this episode, I'm going to be covering some of those challenges. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Alex Jagir, and I am an epic fantasy writer. I'm going to be covering in this episode some of the challenges that I've faced in writing this first book, and I assume I'll probably face in future books. And this isn't a comprehensive list of changes or challenges, rather, but it is a list of challenges that I've really noticed that some of them I expected, some of them I didn't expect. That I think will kind of give you some insight into my writing and what I face, and also if you are a writer out there or an aspiring writer, you can kind of be prepared going into your own book. So, the first one, and that I think is most important, is consistency. Um, this is something that I think is very necessary for someone who is serious about writing, and one that I've struggled with, just depending on different circumstances going on in life, whether it's a busy work schedule, whether it's a busy family scheduling, um, a newborn couple years ago, and just different other stuff that pops up. And it's so easy to make excuses on not writing in a given day or writing much less. Although writing even a small amount in a day is definitely better than writing nothing by a significant amount. But the consistency challenge is uh, very, very difficult from the life circumstances. But what makes it the most challenging, I think, is that if you do skip a day, if you skip a week, if you start to go down even just a little bit of cycle of not putting in the effort or work, it is very easy to continue to slip down that slope. So if I'm looking at, let's say you can write a first draft for a novel in 6 months, and I'm just ballparking number here. Let's just say that means you write 1,000 words a day. Okay. Heck, let's just say 500 words a day. So you're gonna write 500 words a day for half a year, come out, roughly with a book at the end of it. Excellent, right? But then let's say there's and I know that's some things you can't help happen, but let's say you have an early morning appointment one morning, and that's usually when you write. So you say, oh, okay, I'll write later in the day, but then you just don't get to it. Well, it's okay. It's one day, that's 500 words, right? And then let's say there's another week where your kid's sick all day and you have to take care of them, and you just think, it'd be easier for me to just take care of them. I'll push it to next day, or maybe do 1,000 words one day and make up for it. And all of those little days add up and add up. And before you know it, you're staring 6 months later and you still have a whole half a book to write. um, so consistency is very important. It's very easy to slack on, especially when you just say, oh, it's just a day, or it's just a week, or it's just a half a day here or a half a day there. But all those little days add up. And in the end, it just pushes further back the main objective that you have. And I've noticed that in certain times of my writing. And so it's very important for me to stay consistent with my writing. Because to me, eh, even though I see the bigger picture and I see where it's going to lead at the end, it's those day to day writing times that really make the difference and add up to the book in the end. The next challenge that I'm going to talk about is being willing to read and edit over and over and over. This was another tough one. I did not think this would be tough. I knew the consistency would be the tough part, right? Remaining steadfast each day in my writing. I did not expect the reading and editing multiple times would be a big challenge. The first edit was not. The first edit was actually kind of exciting. So I guess the second draft, more or less. I enjoyed getting in there and refreshing my memory on stuff that I had written in the beginning, seeing where maybe I changed some stuff throughout the book, connecting the dots. It was very structural to me. Also creative as well, but I was able to kind of put some pieces together and see it all come together. And then after the second draft, or after my main, first one, then I started to have my wife, who is my first reader, read through it with her suggestions. And then I have some other core readers who have, read through it, giving me suggestions. And then aside from that, I've noticed some stuff reading through it again where I thought, oh, I could definitely improve that. And I'm not talking about minuscule, little word changes that in the end, the book's not going to be perfect. I'm talking about things that can greatly improve a certain aspect of the book that would be worth making changes for. And I think in the past 2 months, I've read through my book 3 or 4 times, and it's to the point now where I wanna throw it out the window and never see it again. Um, and not in a bad way, it's just I just constantly reading and editing it over and over has really just taken a toll on my psyche, I think, of, being in the book and, enjoying it. I'm just ready for that process to end, right, and move on, from this first book. Um Not to say I still don't enjoy it reading it, it's just very different once you're very familiar with it, and, it definitely kinda wears on you when you know, "Okay, I'm gonna have to read through this whole chapter again, or this whole first part of the book again to make these changes." And so, being willing to have those read-throughs and edits is extremely important, and it is a challenge. I definitely wanted to, go through in a perfect world, you have your first draft, you have your second draft, you send out to your readers, and they come back with 2 or 3 changes. You make those changes and it's good, but I I don't think it ever is like that, or it shouldn't be like that for anyone. And so, yeah, the willingness to being able to read that book, even when you don't want to read it again, make those changes to get it to the best that it can be, is definitely a challenge that I faced, and fortunately, I've been able to get through, and I enjoy the process, I really do. But by the end of it, I'm ready to be done reading this book. um, Next challenge: accepting criticism, and making changes. It kind of goes along to you just want to be maybe done with the book, but it's important to listen to your core readers about making changes to the book that are necessary. There are a couple things where I didn't want to change, and honestly, none of the reason was because I thought it was a good improvement. It's because I was done putting in the time and effort with my first book, which is called Breaking, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that in this episode. um, and so being willing to, so there's two parts of that: being willing to put in that extra time to really take in what your readers have said to you, so that you can make the book the best that it can be. And then also, not just making the time, but accepting the changes that they have for you. Not all changes will be made. I have the final say for my book on certain aspects, whether it's character or dialogue development, or just different ways that I want to see the story happen. But it is very important to accept the criticism from all your readers. And so far, there's only been one thing in this first book, Breaking, where they've all said I need to change one thing. And so if all your readers say one thing to change, it's probably worth changing because everyone else is gonna is gonna pick up on it too. I put this as special note here: reading and editing even more. I won't spend too much time on it because I talked about it. But yes, even when you're done reading and editing, you need to be willing to read and edit even more. um, a kind of side note at the end here, I think everyone should write a book. If you want to write a book for yourself, or, for no one to read, you just kinda wanna do the exercise of it, then much less time and effort has to go into it to get it to, you won't even need to get it to a, I wouldn't even say perfect state, no book is perfect, but a state for everyone to read, or for self-publishing. You could sit down and just do a first draft. You never have to edit it again or even read it if you want to. I think everyone in life should write a book about something, whether it's a hobby that you enjoy, maybe some family stories that you had growing up, something to just flex your muscles, have that creativity a little bit, and explore what you can do on paper and putting words down on paper. I think it's a great exercise. Again, for someone who is maybe serious about it, then definitely there's going to be more time and effort into it. But I think even for someone who maybe just casually enjoys reading, or for someone who doesn't enjoy reading even at all, I think it's a good place to explore your mentality, how you think about things, and you might be surprised when you put stuff on paper, what comes out and what you think about, and maybe you'll even enjoy it. But I think it's very important for people to write at some point, whether it's a short story, a full book, exploring memories, making up a fictional story. There's a lot of opportunities there to just really express yourself, and so I think reading a book, no matter how easy or how difficult it is well worth doing. My main advice for someone, whether you're a reader of mine, you're trying to get a reader, a word count in reading each week, or a certain amount of books you want to read in a year, or a writer and you're an aspiring writer and you want to try to hit deadlines on writing a book. My main advice is just set realistic goals and be consistent with them. You might want to write a book within a year, but if it takes 2 years to do it by writing just 250 words a day, or whatever, works for your book, the consistency that you know that you can hit a certain goal every day is much more important than setting grand goals that either that will demoralize you if you can't obtain them and maybe stress you out and get burnt out. That's not what you should be doing. Writing, if it's something that you enjoy, should be something that you still enjoy. And so by maintaining those consistent goals and being able to hit them each and every day is extremely important. Um, so yeah, that's my main advice. And just kind of wording a different way, writing a single page a day can get you a book in a year and then some. um, but then if you want to try to write 2 books in a year, um, but you fail to write because you're burnt out, or you fail to write because it seems overwhelming and you keep pushing and pushing it out, that one book that you could have gone in a year just by writing a page a day is well worth not having a book at all at the end of the day because it's just too overwhelming with the goals that you've set. So set realistic, consistent goals. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope that this has helped some of you maybe get into some insight into my reading or my writing, how seriously I take it, and how much I really have on a focus on my mind on the challenges that I tackle and that I've overcome and overcame in my first book, Breaking, and then all the books to come in the future. And if you're an aspiring writer, I hope this gives you some tips to help you along. That's it for this episode. I got plenty more to come. And just as a reminder, if you liked what you watched, please like this video, give it a share, definitely subscribe. If you've been watching me, you haven't subscribed yet, definitely hit the subscribe button. Feel free to leave a comment, or if you want to message me personally, you can go on my website, jalexjagger.com, and submit a contact form. We can talk about whatever you want to. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.